you?
Yeah, good.
Congratulations on the win. What did you make of the performance?
Controlled. I felt it wasn't exhilarating. I don't think it was an exhilarating game. But I felt we had a lot of control. I felt they had a couple of pot shots from distance, which I think, we fielded pretty well. But yeah, I felt that, like, were we at our attacking best tonight? No, could have created, been a bit more ruthless. But it's another. I think it's 9 clean sheets in 13 games, and you get that as a collective whole team, not just defenders on their own.
I want to ask about 2 players that I thought worked really well, Hinata and Jade. I think when Jade went up really, really impressively, Hinata drops back into that right back and allows her to be creative. Just how nice is it to be able to see that kind of settle, and what did you make of both of them tonight?
I think you can tell by my face that just having her in any team, she just knows naturally where to be. And it's her football brain. We've talked about it in press, in preview to the game. But for us, I think Jade's an ultra-attacking fullback, gives you an extra variance on the side. Slightly different in Anna, I think it's pretty same. Gabby's slightly different, and obviously Aoife's slightly different. But I think if you've got that, you just got to have the intelligence, and Hinny has that to give us balance. We need to counter. I felt Tottenham, for whatever reason, whether it was designed or picked up a little bit of lazy position in the second half, where the forwards are just dropping in and it's dropping to them. Especially as to be transferred and countered. So it's those moments where Hinny's alert and our whole team are alert.
We've spoken a bit about how United have kind of flown under the radar, but right now you're 3 points clear of Arsenal. It was a close game tonight, but getting those results over the line are really important. How does it feel just being in this position right now? Like, how does it feel to be second and maybe a little bit in the quieter areas?
Yeah, I'm pretty relaxed. Like, I've been on the end of this before, and I've been on the other end where we've not been second in the table. So yeah, I'm pretty relaxed. Just, you got to do your job every week. We've got Wolves in the switch focus to the FA Cup, which we would love to retain this week, and then we've got Palace before the international break, where Palace were tough against us last time. So for us, game by game, focus. The players are exactly the same as I am. Game by game, keep performing, keep keeping clean sheets, keep defending well, keep trying to attack and score goals. Simple, isn't it? Football, really simple.
Okay, Marc, you mentioned the 9th clean sheet, and I don't know if you had a chance to see the City Arsenal game, which maybe was the opposite of a 9th clean sheet. But how important is it to have that defensive solidity? So in games like this, where maybe you're not as free flowing as you'd like to be, but you can pretty comfortably sit for a 1-0 win.
Yeah, I think you summarise it pretty well. I look at the game, and obviously fans want to see goals, so I understand, but probably the level of the goals weren't great. And I think from our perspective, it's making sure that you start with solid foundation. It doesn't mean you have to be defensive. Actually, you're quite offensive with the way that you press. I think it's the 3rd team in a row that has a style of football that we've adapted and played long and tried to go over us. So I think that's positive, because we're adapting the way people are playing. We decided at the turn of the year, some parts of the first part of the year, we were a little bit maybe passive in the way that we defended. And we decided that actually that's not a Man United team, and we need to be aggressive. So we've got energy, we've got commitment, we've got youth, got a lot of young players, and I think that then bleeds into this type of performance. But I felt even the youngsters like Maya tonight were really maturing, especially the end part of the game, and not making it a drama late on. And that's probably where we've grown. So I think those factors, when you're not at your best attacking, then it still keeps you in balance in the game. I think in a game we're moving way more towards finishing and scoring and goals. Actually, there's still an art to defending, and that can still be beautiful.
I'm intrigued by what you said about Miyazawa in terms of her having a footballing brain and taking up that position as well. Does that mean that's not something you're specifically working on in your build-up, and instead you're allowing your team to have that flexibility?
My teams will always, sorry, I've been shouting all night. The reality is, I think you have to have a flexibility. I think where maybe before we've probably fell down was that actually the more players, the higher level, high experienced players make decisions in moments, and it's not always structured. And I think you see it forwards. I think, if you're looking at Manchester City, they get the ball to Kadisha Shaw and she scores. Like, it's still, you've got to have the quality of those types of players. And so I think you have to have a balance. I think you have to have a shape, patterns as people call them, but options more importantly. And then trust your players to play. Because otherwise we're going down the route of AI and they just make artificial decisions. And for us, I want to make sure that we grow humans as well as, I don't mean to be poetic, but genuinely grow decision-making processes. So that when they come through that, it's hard at first because it's uncomfortable if you make the wrong one. But if you review it and preview it, and then they end up then being more fluid. And I've always done that in any of my teams.
I was going to ask though, is that something you feel like you're also developing around with the coach? Because I feel like the United team from 2 seasons ago where you came second before, part of what was great about it was it was patterns, but it felt like it worked really well. And I wonder if you feel like this evolution of this team is allowing you to maybe be a bit more versatile.
Yeah, maybe. I think more importantly, players add those different qualities to you. I think what we are better at this year, for sure, is the physical movement, especially midfield. We cover ground so much better. And I think from our perspective, we were, especially set pieces, I think in that season we scored a lot from set pieces. So there's always that structure. But I've always said as a coach, I like to be excited by the team. And you can't always be excited if they just pattern the same thing that you've done because it's pre-designed. There's always got to be a moment where players make fans stand on the end of their, stand up and clap. So for us, I think there's a balance, and it allows me. I'm learning more as I get. It's probably my 8th, 9th season now as a coach, so I'm learning more about my teams, how to deal with humans, failure and success, and maybe know when to have difficult conversations and when maybe to just let them live a little bit. So maybe, who knows? We'll see at the end of the season. Thank you.
Yes, Mark. There's been lots of talk this week about FFP, VAR, all those 3-letter things. But the main thing is like Chelsea, just like wherever anyone else moves, they're always like there. And I wonder what there is that can bridge that gap, because it just seems to be, it's a bit like a sprinter. There's always that one sprinter who'll go past you kind of thing. And I wonder what there is that other teams can kind of do. Or is everyone just going to have to be satisfied with second or third?
No, I think it's a good point. I think every team's got to find their own identity to do that. It's always hard. Look, you sum it up pretty well that you're a sprinter, but then all of a sudden they seem to maybe start 5 yards ahead. But I think the reality is you play them twice a season, and if you can get a tactical, it goes down to probably those games, and then against, for us, the looking after the business in the other games. So right now, Chelsea, like in terms of winning and form, but performance, there's some performance issues where I'm sure they want to fix those as well. I think reality is I don't really want anybody to limit spending right now because I think we're still growing. We're a growing market, so I think there's a balance there. Would I like us to be able to do that? Of course, but we also have to have our own identity, which is to grow young, keep pushing, and keep developing people. So I'm sorry, I don't have the answer for you, but it's something I'm sure we will find out as we work together throughout the next seasons and so.
Because it feels like at the beginning of the season they were winning like 100-0 and whatever, and now they're just sneaking past the last few games. It's either 1-1, 1-0, 1-0. So it does feel like it's not quite as far away, but it just feels like they're always that little bit.
Yeah, well, I think they sign up a really good team is winning though, right? So they're still winning. I think something you would want, and the team would want, knowing some of them, quite a lot of their individuals, they would want to probably be more scoring, free flowing. But maybe as it goes towards the last stages of the season, if they progress in Champions League, that's moments where you can kind of really take advantage. But the reality for us is just all we can concentrate is if there's a gap, we know that. Can we win the games and then hope they slip up? And reality is we know that what I've liked about WSL this season is there's a lot. I just feel the teams you're playing against, you're a lot more. There's a lot more discomfort as a coach because you've got to prepare a lot. There's a lot of quality in the team, so I'm hoping that it's not a give me every time you play Chelsea, that actually you can go toe to toe and somebody else can take points off them too.
Just one quick thing as well. Celine Bizet got booed every time she even looked at the ball. And it seemed to me that she was actually relishing that. I don't know if that's true or not. She actually seemed to be laughing at the whole farrago.
She's a really fun character. I think she likes the challenge of it. I think she's got football in her family, and her partner's a footballer too. So I just think she's used to it, and I don't mind it. I think it's a bit pantomime, isn't it? And I think it gives you that. It gives stories and narratives behind the individuals. And knowing Celine, she will just love it. She laughs at it, and she'll just try and perform. But it will drive her on. And I think that's a fantastic character to have. Is that when you face adversity and people don't like something, then you can show them just how good you are. Thank you.
Marc, can I ask what your thoughts are on Spurs right now and the job that Robert's done? Because the team now seems to be a lot more difficult to beat than before.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Robert, even in this window, they've signed some players that I think he would, that they're more designed to the way he probably wants to play. They're always tough to play. I've always found that though. And I know we beat them 4-0 in the final, but it wasn't comfortable till the second half. And then they were trying to press because it's a final. So I think they've done a really good job. I think maybe Robert won a bit more from their performance because I think the Tottenham we played today is different to the Tottenham we played at the start of the season, when I felt, even though we won 3-0, I didn't think it was a 3-0 game at all. I felt that we just were ruthless. And maybe if they turn that edge on, then they'll be where Robert wants him to be. But yeah, they've progressed nicely, so you'd have to ask Robert how happy he is with that, because he's obviously got the plan of where he wants to be. But we're in a fantastic environment. The ground's incredible. So there's lots of things that I think are growing as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on
Thank
the
you.
win. I just wanted to ask, I saw Ron Jansen go down a couple of times and then head down the tunnel. Is she okay? Do you know? Have you spoken to her yet?
Yeah, I think she took a knock. I think it was a kick on the foot, but then that stopped her because I think maybe there was a bit of swelling. It was she couldn't decel and excel well enough. And Don wants to do that at everything 100%. So I just felt that she felt that she couldn't do that for the team in that moment, so it was right. And I thought Simi, when she came in, did great, considering it's probably her third or fourth game where she's come in from being a rookie college player. Thank you.
Just to follow up on this question, because there's always a comparison between Spurs and Manchester United, because both clubs came up at the same time into the WSL. And you're now right in seconds. Robert's talking here about his team being a top 6 team. How do you compare the progress of the two clubs and the two sides?
Look, there's a weight behind being a Manchester United team. There's an expectation, and this is no disrespect to Spurs, but way beyond Spurs at the minute. No disrespect, we're the biggest club in the world. So I feel that. I think when we play against Tottenham, I feel there's a lot of progress. I can see that. For us, what I've tried to do at this team is just turn the expectation that's naturally on us into fire and fuel, and I think that's what you have to do. We get obsessed, and nowadays in times of that we have to play this way. It's got to play. This is my philosophy. Actually, you have to adapt to your players. I always believe that. I have a philosophy. It's how I believe we should play football is attacking. But at Man United, the style I used to have as coach, we were talking about when I was at Birmingham, it's not the same style. At Birmingham, I'd run Dossi our penalty areas. We're playing out against anyone. But actually, you can't. When you want to win games, you've got to find different ways, and we fit it around the style of our players. And what I've loved about the growth of us as a team is that I think we have a true DNA of a Manchester United team. We will invade, and we will come after you, we will chase you, and we'll be aggressive. And I think that's probably the difference. I think Spurs, when you're so young, you don't have the identity, and Robert's trying to grow that. So I think maybe it's time and continued investment, and maybe they'll be where Robert wants them to be.
Hi Matt,
Hiya.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Another clean sheet for Fallon, obviously. How is her performance kind of impacting the squad as a whole?
Do you know what I think it is with Fallon? You just feel like you've got a Goliath in goal. She just literally, if there's a shot from the edge of the penalty area, then I just feel like she's going to pluck it, and we're on the counter. So I think she gives immense confidence, and I think she's got so much more growth to make as well. It's scary, but again, a little bit of credit to the team behind the team, and for recruitment. You know, look at the players that we're finding, recruiting, developing, making better. And Manchester United does that. We make players better. So I'm sure it's an attractive place for players to come and play, because you know we are, I think, nearly the youngest team in the league on average, and we have, you know, we're currently second. So we're doing something right, and I think it's a credit to that. And Fallon was one of those finds that we look to develop our team with.
Absolutely, and just for the squad, playing, obviously we talked about a stadium like this, how does that feel for all of you guys to be in such a, you know, it's lovely. Such a
Right
nice
now,
mixed
when we
ground.
right now when we sit here, it's wonderful. In reality, honestly, when you walk through the door, it could be a pitch on a park somewhere, because it's still the same thing. Like where I think teams maybe, I don't know, teams that have been used to it and played in big events, you see it as something you've got to do. It takes the romance out of it, trust me. But the reality is you have to just do your job, which is play and focus. But this is an absolutely gorgeous stadium, so you know, credit to Tottenham and what they've done here.
Thank you. Lovely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, team. Thank you for waiting as well. Have a good evening.